All right, today I want to give you a little help on this assignment on CAD Modeling 1, where we're having to create a rectangle 4x6. We're having to add another sketch for a pentagon, another sketch for a hexagon, and another sketch for a triangle. So if you look in the assignment here, down below this first rectangle, it shows you the dimension for the pentagon, 0.35, and it says it's circumscribed. It shows you the radius of the hexagon, 0.25, and it's inscribed. Okay, and then it's showing you the equilateral triangle has a side length of 1.25. Okay, so that's where you'll get your dimensions from. But you also, as you're creating these sketches in OnShape, you need to look down to the details of step 6. Step 6 provides some of the geometric constraints as well as some more dimensional constraints that you have to put on each of those sketches. The first two deal with the pentagon, the next three deal with the hexagon, and the last two deal with the triangle. So let's go to OnShape. I'm going to start with the top view, and I'm going to create a sketch. And I'm going to create, this time I'll need to create my 4x6 rectangle. Instead of using the corner to corner, I'm going to actually use the center point rectangle. You'll see why in a little bit. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to pull back and make this approximately 4x6. And I'll type in the exact dimensions 6. Well, let's see, that's why it didn't work. Hang on, let me undo that. Undo this, let's try this again. I'm going to actually draw this. What happens is my num lock on my keyboard is not set. Okay, so let's try this again. Center point rectangle. I'm going to pull back like this. I'm going to type in a 6. There we go. And I'm going to type in a 4 here. So now I've got my rectangle. Now I'm going to need some diagonal lines and I'm going to need a vertical line. So I'm going to click on the line tool and I'm going to make these construction lines so that they're not really part of the shape, but they're guidelines, so to speak. So if I click on construction, that'll make this diagonal line that I draw here dotted. I'm going to draw another diagonal line across here. And I'm going to come here and find the midpoint. Notice it finds the midpoint with the square, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to make a vertical line. Okay, so now I can finish my rectangle sketch. And I've got my guidelines already in there. Now you remember back over here in the modeling assignment, it said I need to put a circumscribed pentagon with a radius of 0.35. Okay, and then I look down here, it says that pentagon needs to be on a vertical line through the center. So I'm going to make sure I put it on a vertical line, and that'll take care of 6A. So we're going to come back over here. I'm going to create a new sketch on the top plane. I'm going to go to the circumscribed polygon. I'm going to make sure that I put it on this vertical line here as my starting point. And I'm going to pull it away and sort of let it sit in here flat like this. Now, you'll notice every time you do a polygon, it starts out as a hexagon, but we can change that. Once I click, I can actually drag in or out and make it more or less surfaces. So I'm going to make it a 5-surface pentagon. Click again. And now that I have my pentagon on the vertical line, I need to go make it 0.35 on the dimension. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to go to the dimension tool. I'm going to click on this outer circle. Double click on the outer circle and it gives me the dimension that I need to make this all the way across. I think this is the diameter. So it said the radius needed to be 0.35, so this likely needs to be 0.70. And that'll make your pentagon show up. Now, if you use 0.35 here, that's fine. This is all an exercise in dimensional constraints and geometric constraints. And then if you look back over here, the very last thing that we had to do was we had to make one side of the pentagon horizontal and locate it a ½ an inch above the center point of the rectangle. So we'll just make one of our sides horizontal. And so I'm going to come up here to the constraint tools, and I'm going to click on the, well, first of all, I'm going to click on the constraint tool. I'm going to make this horizontal. I'm going to click on this line here, and when I do, it turns it and makes it horizontal. And remember, the last thing was, hit escape to get out of that, is to make sure the center point, to make sure that this horizontal side is a ½ inch above the center point of the rectangle. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the dimension tool. I'm going to click on the center point of the rectangle. I'm going to click on the bottom edge of that, the horizontal edge. I'm going to click once, and I'm going to make this 0.5. And now I can click on my green check mark. So now I've actually created my pentagon in the rectangle with the 2 sketches I've drawn, and I'm on my way to finishing everything here. So what you want to continue with is you now want to add a 3rd sketch with an inscribed hexagon. As you're adding it, make sure you check down here where that hexagon needs to go. Then make a 4th sketch with an equilateral triangle, and you can use the polygon tool for that too. Look down here as you're creating the equilateral triangle and make sure you're meeting these requirements down here. And again, you can accomplish all of this once you get in the sketch mode. You can accomplish it by either clicking on the dimension tool or clicking on one of the constraints, and you should be able to finish this project with no problem.